Welcome everybody, my name's Darlene Kwama, I'm your Network Property Manager. Today we're doing an open forum session on how to implement the new legislation into your business in New South Wales. I have with me Julie Holloway from First National Walsh and Sullivan, and I also have Karen from our First National Manly office who have kindly donated their time to sit with us to help you to implement the new legislation into your business. How do you think the new legislation is going to change how the business works?
I don't think it'll change how the business works. I think you just need to get some set procedures in place on as to how you're going to implement those changes into the business. The changes aren't that daunting. I believe that if you get a good system in place, you can work through each change, and you have good staff training and good communication in your office, and you get some great systems. I think it should work quite easily.
So do you think you should allocate one person to do the training?
Depends on how your office is structured. I firmly believe it should be one person's job, and they should be held accountable, work off a checklist, and make sure that all the changes are implemented. Obviously there are quite a few changes, and again, I don't know how offices are structured. I'm only from a small office, so it should be quite easy for me, but I know people run portfolio systems, or they have a one rent roll, so it depends on the structure. But I think if you've got a good checklist in place, it shouldn't matter who does the job.
Julie, what about the standard letters and forms in the office?
Basically, you could probably run with what you've got. However, there will be obviously minimal changes as far as timeframes and things like that, the notice periods that you need to provide. So with the changes to the Act, whilst there, as I said, there is changes to the notice periods you need to give, the standard letters are quite easy to work with at the moment.
So you might just need to change from, say, 60 days to 90 days
correct,
and things like that. So is the REI, NSW or ADL bringing in new forms? Have we been notified about those?
From the REI point of view, the leases are being typed at the moment or printed and ready to go. They should be distributed within the next 2 weeks. Same with termination notices and so forth.
And do you know about ADL forms?
Yes, all the electronic forms. Anybody that is currently using the electronic forms, me specifically ADL, they're ready to go. They've sent me a list of all of the changes that are coming and which forms will change and in what part and why. And as of the 31st, anybody that's using that, when you log into your ADL forms, you hit update and it will change it automatically. So it's something to consider. If your office isn't using them, it's certainly worthwhile investigating, because it makes the job so much easier. And then you just have a list of what has physically changed in those forms, marry it up against your checklist and tick it off that it's been done. Just because you have electronic forms, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be acknowledging that there has been a change.
Although because we do have standard letters in the back end of Gateway that are generic, it's often very easy just to change a 30, 60 or 90 day as well.
Absolutely.
So at no charge.
Yeah.
So what do we do then with the old forms that we have and the old standard letters?
Throw them away. So then there's no confusion. If you haven't got a good procedure in your office regarding staff changes and procedures when new people start, you run the risk of using those old letters or someone getting their hands on them. So absolutely get rid of all of them.
So because we've got our procedures and policies also under quality assurance in Gateway, it would be worthwhile, you think, to revisit those and sit down and maybe have a staff meeting and maybe run through them with the new Act as well.
It's always a good opportunity to look over your procedures and revisit them, definitely. It's never a bad time.
Great. So do you think it's worthwhile sending an update to your landlords and tenants at this stage?
Definitely. That should be something that we're onto straight away. Owners need to be made aware of the changes. There's particularly the notice periods that they now need to give to the tenants as far as vacating and so forth, that they have extended, and end of fixed terms and so forth. They need to be notified of the changes to the material fact as well. Probably
the best and most economical way, I think we had a chat before the camera got rolling, the best way is either use SMS, we can use our e-newsletters as far as sending it electronically, but I think the important part is to not to get too caught up in doing it ourselves, to redirect them back to the Department of Fair Trading website, where the fact sheets and the information is available. So rather than send out long letters and checklists and things to the owner about all the changes, the Department of Fair Trading website has a fact sheet available, so you could either scan that and send it as an attachment in an email. As far as notifying the tenants are concerned, a lot of people have the software to do the SMS out of REST and things like that, or any of those programs that you can send out. And again, there have been changes to the Residential Tenancies Act. For more information, please and guide them back to the Department of Fair Trading website. Then they're getting the correct information.
Could you elaborate more on the disclosure statement?
Something that's been around for a couple of years now. Basically, you have to disclose if anything unforeseen has happened in a rental property or a sale property before the property is actually put up for lease, and you must notify a tenant of that. That has now been extended to include like floodings, as we said, unfortunate deaths and things in the property. It also now includes, it could go as far as having asbestos through the property. These tenants need to be made aware of these issues before the property is actually leased to them, and so that way the agency and the owner are covered as far as making sure that the tenant was made aware of it and it's in writing for the tenant before they move in.
So that would include robbery?
Yes, it would. And anything, if something's happened in the neighbourhood as far as theft through the property, as you mentioned, or something happening in the street, the neighbours and so forth, they have to be made aware of that as well.
And you mentioned, Karen, in regards to software, what software can be, like how can we tweak our software to help us with that?
As far as our trust account's concerned,
Yes.
The trust account, as you know, accommodates taking the $15 lease preparation fee from the tenant, and I spoke to my provider, and it is simple as going into the back end and taking a tick off a box to take the temptation away. In a lot of offices, it's not always the property manager receipting rents and taking deposits and things. Often it can be an admin person or the receptionist, and if there's poor communication in the office or staff change over and that temptation is still there, there might be an error in taking that $15. So you go into the back end, you take the tick off, and it makes that part of the software disappear. So it's very important to just make sure that it's no longer available, so there's no confusion and you can't be held liable for any mishaps in the office.
Would your software also be able to maybe flag water safety measures that's been provided in a property?
Basically, at this stage, the software provider we're using, they are trying to instigate something there, but we've actually got it set up that we can actually put like an action conversation. So if we do not have all the water saving devices in place, it will not let us create an invoice for that tenant to be able to send them off any water usage accounts.
So are there any other procedures in place that we can utilise with our software, or maybe checklists in regards to the water saving devices?
That's one of the biggest changes that's coming out, is the water usage, making sure that all the properties are compliant. Every software system is different. The one that we're actually utilising, you can actually tick a conversation part of the system, and when you go to enter a tenant's invoice, if the fittings are not on the property, then it will not let you take the invoice and send that out to the tenant.
When you say fittings, what sort of fittings are we talking about?
The star rating fittings to the shower heads, making sure there aren't any leaky taps, and the 3-star rating?
3-star.
Rating on the tap fittings.
With those 3-star ratings, are the government supplying those anywhere, or does the landlord have to pay? Are they free of charge?
Sydney Water are running a special at the moment, which is $22, and they will actually go out, provide a report, check all the shower heads, toilets, make sure that they are all compliant with the new legislation. And as I said, we supply you a report, which you then have on file to show that it is all compliant under the new Act, and then you can charge the tenants.
Oh, so you can charge that back to the tenants?
No, then you can start charging the water usage.
Oh, terrific. Okay.
That Sydney Water scheme's fantastic. I've actually had it done at my house as well. So if you're operating a single flush toilet, they'll actually replace the toilet to a dual flush. I think it's around it starts at $370, but you can choose from a variety of, quite modern toilets. So it's quite a good system.
Aside from the implementation into your business, I think the major concern that we have as property managers is that the property manager in your business, or you as the property manager, needs to read the legislation and understand it. If you haven't already done any training, please make sure that you contact Kaplans, because Kaplans are actually doing our online training sessions for the new legislation, as well as you can download information from the REI NSW, as well as your Consumer Affairs or your Fair Trading. The CTTT also have information on that as well. So make sure that you're well versed in your Act, you understand it. If you have any further questions, I'm sure Julie or Karen or myself are happy to answer those for you, but you really need to have a clear understanding of the Act before you try to implement it. Have a great day. Thank you for watching.